Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about a topic that's pretty near and dear to my heart. I can relate personally with this topic. We're going to talk about how do you talk to your teenagers about credit cards, about credit, what does it mean, why it's important, and I came up with this little kind of silly example right here. Turning 18, you get a credit card, happy birthday kind of thing. So why is credit important? We're gonna smoke out up here. So why does a teenager need a credit card? Why should they get a credit card? How do they get a credit card? Those are all things that I want to cover today. So the first thing is, how do you approach your teenager about actually wanting or starting the conversation about why getting a credit card is important? So for starters, you can kind of simplify it a little bit and say, in the future, as you become a young adult, there's something called credit. And basically what credit is it's every individual has credit, a credit number, a credit score, and that determines if you're going to be eligible to take out a loan, to take out money, for example, for in a car, an auto loan, or a house in the future. So credit is a good thing. It's a necessary evil, unfortunately. Everybody needs to try to have credit, some sort of credit, if you want to get a bank to lend you money. So the first thing I would suggest is, if your teenager has a bank, if they bank with you or they have a separate checking account or savings account with whatever bank that they choose, try to see if that bank has a credit card that they offer for like a low-end entry-level credit card. If your teenager has a job and if they have a good payment history as far as getting paid and their job is steady, so they're getting a steady paycheck, the credit card company is definitely going to look at that in a positive light. So if, for example, let's just take Wells Fargo. So if they have a Wells Fargo account and they've been getting paid and direct deposited into their account, if there's a credit card that's an entry-level credit card that has no annual fee that they're able to apply for, and they're already built up that trust with Wells Fargo, then that should be one of the first credit cards that they apply for. They shouldn't have to worry about or shouldn't think about benefits or rewards or any kind of like that, cash back, unless they're able to get approved for something that's a little more advanced. When you're 18, obviously you start out with no credit, and you can either put your teenager on your credit card. If you don't want to do that, to slowly build up their credit, then this is where the entry-level credit card would be great for them. So another thing to try to explain to them is, having a credit card is a huge responsibility. So imagine if you have a credit card as an adult and you take the credit card, and we know as adults that you treat the credit card basically like cash. So if you have cash and you have a credit card, I think a common misconception is that teenagers think when you charge a credit card, then you just have this unlimited amount of money and you can spend as much as you want and there's no limits, there's no rules. Unfortunately, that's not the way it works. So if you go into it, this is tip number one. If you go into it with the mindset of whatever you charge with the credit card, as long as you have enough cash in your bank account, you're good. So you want to pay it off in full every month. You don't want to leave a balance if possible, because you want to show that you have a good payment history in terms of paying it off in full. So if you leave, say like for example, you just charge gas, and gas is, let's say, maybe 50, 75 bucks. So if you charge that and you do that maybe 2-3 times a month, and you know that you have that kind of money in your checking account as a teenager, then you can actually charge that to your charge card, your credit card, and you can pay it off. And start with that. Start something simple. Pay off the gas or pay off snacks at the gas station, or if you go out to lunch with friends, if you're in high school and you leave campus or you're in college, that's a great way to have little tiny amounts that you can charge and actually have those add up. So you definitely don't want to go out and buy a big screen TV. You don't want to go out and buy something like, a fancy tablet or a big fancy cell phone if you don't have the money in your checking account or your savings account, because you definitely don't want to go above and beyond what you can already afford. So that's definitely the advice for starting out. The second thing that I want to talk about as far as having a credit card is as you charge your credit card and you pay it off every month, your credit is going to slowly build. So it's going to build slowly. It's not necessarily something that you can watch. There are places that, the credit bureaus, they do have places where you can check in, like a Credit Karma. You can check in and you can actually see if your credit has climbed. But I would say don't expect any kind of credit improvement for at least probably the first month, unless you're, sorry, not first month, 6 months. If you're consistently building your credit and charging your credit card and paying it off in full. So that's a key, pay off in full. And that way you shouldn't have anything to worry about. Another thing you can, as a parent, another thing you can use as a tool is credit card is inevitably the way that the individual, young adult, can move on and move out in terms of moving away from the house. So that's something that they could use to your advantage. That's a skill, a life skill that they're going to want to have and they're going to need to have. Sure, you don't need to have a credit card, but it's one of the best ways to start out by building credit is using a credit card. So that's just a great entry-level tool. They shouldn't be concerned with, let's get the most cash back or the most rewards and the most airline miles or things like that. Those types of cards definitely are more on the medium to kind of more advanced level, and you need more of an established credit in order to apply for those. Even as an adult, some of these cards that have annual fees, they're hard to get, they're hard to apply for, so to get approved for. So you would definitely want to start out with something very simple and something that the young adult or the teenager can actually get approved for. And let me tell you, it feels really good once they get approved for something, because they can use that for maybe about 6 months, maybe 8 months or so. And then once they have a little bit higher of a credit score and they see the credit score going up, then they can apply for something that may be a little more a step up from the entry level and something that could give them some kind of rewards or something that could give them cash back or a little more of a benefit in their eyes instead of just an entry level. So that's pretty much the gist of the credit card talk and how to talk to your teenager / young adult about a credit card, why it's important, and all the inner workings of, why we need credit. So if you guys liked this video and you enjoyed it and you got some tips and tricks and it was helpful, the content was helpful, I would love it if you would like the video and drop a comment below if you have any other advice or any kind of tips, anything that's worked for you. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to interact with you guys. Please consider subscribing to the channel. We'd love to have you along for this journey. And until next time, be well, be safe. Thank you.